KTBB Friday morning news time 7:51. Going to be a hot day, says Dr. Bob. As we do every Friday at this time, we check in with KTBB owner, General Manager Paul Gleiser, and you tell me what's on your mind, sir.
Good morning, Garth. We are sponsored by KE Cellars, Tyler's Old World Style Boutique Winery in the French Quarter on South Broadway across from the mall. A reminder before we get started, my wife Lee and I are going to Italy this fall, away from the heat and the summer and the crowds, and we want you to come with us. We're inviting you. It's an 8-day trip to Rome and Sorrento. We have room for just 24 couples, and the cost is only $19.22 per person. That includes air, hotel transfers, tips, breakfast every morning, all of the taxes. Details by following the link at the top of the homepage at ktbb.com. In what is surely one of the cruelest ironies in marketing history, British Petroleum has spent millions promoting its initials as standing for Beyond Petroleum. In ads with a lot of white space and sporting a logo in soothing shades of yellow and green, British Petroleum has been at pains to publicly distance itself from the oil industry. One ad reads, and I quote, "In 25 years, we've never heard of a solar crisis." Another leads with, "Thinking outside the barrel." All of this is intended to convince you that British Petroleum has finally come to its senses and has realized that it has been in the wrong business all along and must work day and night to set it all to rights. Solar and wind power. These are now, according to the advertising, the daily business of British Petroleum. Thus, they don't actually say their name in their own ads, preferring instead the initials BP and the words Beyond Petroleum. The company's 2009 annual report paints a somewhat different picture. Even a cursory read reveals that BP is indeed an oil company, a big one. You learn by reading the annual report that BP is a huge player in oil exploration and production, and that the company incidentally derives a nearly imperceptible percentage of annual revenue from solar, wind, and other alternative energy sources. Why is British Petroleum, one of the biggest oil companies in the world, pretending to be something else? The answer is obvious. It's because Western democracies, and particularly the U.S., have succeeded in demonizing oil companies to the point that one of the biggest has to hide its very name from public view. When we finally know what happened out in the Gulf on April 20th, I am certain that it will be clear that British Petroleum screwed up. When the well that's spewing thousands of barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico every day is finally capped, I am certain that billions of dollars worth of commercial and ecological damage will have been done. And when policymakers get through exploiting this disaster solely for political purposes, I am equally certain that we will get even more bad policy to layer upon existing bad policy. Few will ask the obvious question. If it costs thousands of dollars a day to drill for oil on land, tens of thousands of dollars per day to drill in a few hundred feet of water a few miles off the coast, and millions of dollars per day to drill in thousands of feet of water 40 miles from the coast, why is anyone drilling for oil in thousands of feet of water 40 miles from the coast? The answer is because there is no practical alternative to oil, and yet we have made it nearly impossible out of politically driven environmentalism to explore for oil in less expensive, less risky locales. And thus we shove a company that is pretending not to be in the oil business way out in the ocean to drill for oil so that certain of us can pretend that the environment is being protected. The irony is nearly unbearable. Take this problem. Put it alongside our other problems, such as the mortgage meltdown, the resulting crushing recession, the unaffordability of health care, the bankruptcy of Social Security, Medicare, and soon the U.S. Treasury itself, and you will find this common thread. Our biggest problems are the result of federal policy informed by left-leaning political calculus ahead of sound economic logic. If a nasty environmental accident ever had to happen in the Gulf of Mexico, it didn't have to happen in 2010. The government that is now blustering and pointing fingers at British Petroleum is the same government that put BP out in the ocean at the edge of the envelope in the first place. Will we ever learn? That's my word. What's yours? Go to ktbb.com/youtellme, and you tell me. Triple-digit temperatures are darn close. It's only early June. It's getting hot early this year, and that affects my wine choice. It should affect yours as well. If you're going to brave the heat, do so with the refreshing chill of a couple of KE Cellars wines. Now, you all know I'm a red wine guy most of the time, but at these temperatures, it's the Keeper Sol Estates 2007 Simeon for me. A cool, crisp white wine that refreshes when the heat is on. Cooking outside, instead of the heaviness of beer, avoid the bloat. Reach instead for the K.E. Bushman's Witzen Rosé, a blush wine that looks like white Zinfandel, but is in fact more complex, and as it happens, a great accompaniment to burgers or steaks. Don't take my word for any of this. Visit KE Cellars today after work. Ask them to try the 2007 Simeon or the KE Bushman's Weizen Rosé. You can do all of that because KE Cellars is a working winery with a tasting room. Try any wine in the KE Cellars collection before you buy it. You simply cannot make a mistake. KE Cellars, Tyler's Old World Style Boutique Winery in the French Quarter on South Broadway across from the mall, and online at KECellars.com.
You've just been served.